Shalom. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Harakak, Wadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS, of Great Millstone that rule well. Those are the men who I learned this absolute 144% pure truth from. All right, they have the true understanding of the Bible. They have the true breakdowns of the scriptures. All right, and those are the true prophets of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, if you want to believe that or not. Okay, and peace, love, and salutations to the elect. All right, to the elect of the true nation of Israel, Yasharallah. All right, Shalom. Quick lesson, man. What sparked this lesson was I was also listening to some GMS videos, man. And you know how his brother, you know how brothers, be slipping up. They say something, but it means something else. But being in this truth and listening to brothers for so long, man, we know exactly what you're talking about, man. I know exactly what brothers are saying and what they mean, even though they say something differently, but I know what they mean because us, being in this truth, well, actually, it's like being in this world, man, or just being a brother in this truth, we're not the smartest, men, okay? Sometimes, we'll say a word, we don't know, like, we'll say something that means something else, okay, but we said the wrong word, but being in this truth, and knowing what this truth is about and what brothers are saying, man, knowing the spirit of the Lord, you know what a brother's saying, man. You know what he means, okay? Like, for instance, I'm trying to find a good example. Because I was watching Mahalaya from KC earlier today, and he said, what did he say? He said, Slocky, I'm trying to remember. He said, I forgot, but he said something, but he used the wrong word. But I knew exactly what he was talking about, if you know what I mean. And I'm like, you know what? I did that, in my like 2 or 3 lessons back, and I'm like, man, I did the same thing, And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do a lesson on this, man, on this topic, man. Because for instance, for me, I was talking about Nigeria. All right. Let me get it. Let me show y'all. Nigerian Hollywood. Okay, Nollywood. All right. And in the lesson, because I was talking about, how Ham and the nation of Ham. All right. And Yasharallah, Israel, the southern kingdom, the so-called blacks of Israel, of Yasharallah, they're dark skinned, but they also may look very similar. Okay, they have similar hair, but we're a different people. We're the chosen, and they're not. They're of the nation of Ham. They're of the lineage of Ham. All right, we're of the lineage of Shem. All right. Okay. And I was talking about Nigerian Hollywood is because Jake's the southern kingdom. All right. Judah and Benjamin and Levi, predominantly reside in Western Africa, man. All right, amongst the Hamites. All right, because the southern kingdom of Israel, the so-called blacks of Yasharallah of Israel, fled from Roman persecution into Africa. All right. Okay, amongst the Hamites, which look like so-called black people. All right. They look like Israelite people, man. They look like this. All right. They look very similar. Okay. So over time, and mingling themselves amongst the Hamites, we're going to look very similar, man. But our spirits are different, man. All right. Nigerian Yeah, there's a lot of slums and poverty around that area in Nigeria, but there's a lot of prosperity too, because our people are just, we're gods amongst these heathens. We're gods amongst, amongst these mortal people, man. Okay, we're mortal, but we have the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. See, this shows right here. Here's a, all right. Here's one right here, Nollywood. Okay, our people, man. All right, but this is what I meant. I meant to say Nollywood, but I said Bollywood, which Bollywood, okay, is the Elamites, the East Indians. All right, Bollywood. See, I said Bollywood, but I meant to say Nollywood. All right. Okay, Nollywood are, I said this, but I meant to say Nollywood. All right, I said Bollywood. All right, these are the East Indians. Okay, which a good portion of these East Indian people are Israelites. All right, you could just tell in their spirit. Okay, but yeah, man. But predominantly, these people are heathens. Okay, but Jake Israel, is gonna shine, amongst these heathens, man. Looking like these heathens, acting like these heathens, So yeah, man, I'm like, and then Mahalaya, he did the same thing. He didn't, he said a word, but he meant something else. He didn't even correct himself because, hey, he didn't have to, because I knew exactly what he meant, man. Okay. But like I said, I forgot I've been watching GMS videos all day, and that was earlier in the day today. So, but you get the gist, man. All right, we'll say a word, but mean something different, man. All right, we don't do it on purpose. It's just, hey, that's we're not the smartest men. We're not the most eloquent men on earth. All right, this is 1 Corinthians 2:1. It says, "And I, brethren, when I came to you, came not with excellence, I came not with excellency of speech or of wisdom, declaring unto you the testimony of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai." Okay, and that's what we do, man. We go out there on the highways and byways. We put up these edifying videos every day on YouTube. And what are we doing, man? Are we like IUIC? In the beginning, are we giving you the most perfect, beautiful speech? Are we perfect to the T with what we say? Are we using big, ginormous dictionary words, man? We always say, roughly paraphrasing, we always say the lack of better words, for the lack of better words, because the Lord hasn't given us, the Lord didn't want us to be these super duper smart scholars of words, man. All right, let me get that, man. 1 Corinthians 1:27 says, "But Yahweh hath chosen the foolish things of this world to confound the wise, and Yahweh hath chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty." All right, so the Lord, He wants it like this. He wants us, to be, lacking, in certain spots, when it comes to worldly things like words. But we're not lacking it in the understanding of the Lord, in this truth. Okay. The scriptures say we have an unction from the Holy One that we know all things, man. Okay, let me get that. 1 John 2:20 says, but ye have an unction from the Holy One, and ye know all things. Okay, so the Lord Yahweh Shemi Shai has given us all the knowledge and understanding of this Bible, of His Word, of His will, of His mind. All right, therefore we know all things. We may not have the best understanding or the absolute 100% understanding of the English language. Okay, sometimes we slip up and say a wrong word, a word that means something else. We used a different word because, hey man, we got a million things flying at us every day, man. Okay, we got to deal with the, we got so many things on our plate, man. As a man of Yahweh Shem Shai. We got to wake up and ass crack of dawn, get to work 10 hours a day, deal with work, deal with people at work, deal with deal with our family. When we get home, nagging and blah blah blah. Why'd you get off work at this time? You usually get off work at this time. Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? And then, and then your body is aching, and then you're watching, and then you're trying to find time for this truth as much as you can, all right? And then you're trying to balance things out, etc., etc., etc. And then you got to do a lesson, conjure up a lesson. And then you got to find time to study, and then you got to find time to jot notes down, read, You got to feed yourself. Sometimes you got to exercise too, Sometimes you got to sit back and relax. Sometimes we got so many things on our plate as a man of the Lord. We got to do the work of the world, as every other man in this in the world, not every other man, but every man after, before and after us, they have to go to work too, bust their ass too, take care of their family too. But we have to do that too, and we have to do the work of the Lord. So of course we're gonna slip up and say a word, but we meant to use a different word, and we thought it was the right word, but come to find out, somebody comments on our video, hey man, why are you using the wrong word? You meant to say this, didn't you, or something like that. Yeah, yep. Next time, get your facts straight, blah blah blah. Hey, us brothers in this truth, we know what we're talking about, man, amongst ourselves. All right. If you got a problem because a man of the Lord, accidentally, all right, used a different word, but he meant something else, it's not like he meant to do it on purpose anyway. If you got a problem with that, hey, let that be a stumbling block onto you, man. All right. We're here to preach this truth. All right. Listen to what's actually being said and not how it's being said, man. All right. Who cares how it's being said? Do you understand what the brother's actually preaching to you, teaching you, saying to you? It even comes to when sometimes a brother will accidentally use the wrong word. But I knew exactly what Mahalaya was saying, man. Shit, it's like it. I just wish, I remembered exactly what he was saying. But yeah, man, I use myself as an example because, last lesson or a couple lessons ago, my video on the nation, the Lord made a difference between Ham, the Egyptians and the southern kingdom, Israel. All right. I said Bollywood. I meant to say Nollywood, all right. Some man of the world or woman of the world will be like, man, you don't got your facts straight. You meant to say Nollywood or whatever. What you talking about? Hey, you know what I meant, all right? Nollywood, and here I am, correcting myself, but not for your sake, but for the sake of brothers, man. All right, because this is the topic for edification, not to, it's for edifying the flock, the sheep, feeding the sheep, man. All right, on topics like this, man, because hey, we're not perfect in the world, but we're perfect in the eyes of Yahweh Shem Shai. Why? Because we do this thing, we do the will of the Lord to the best of our ability, and we have faith in Yahweh Shai, which makes us perfect. All right. We're not even perfect in the law. We're perfect in Yahweh Shem Shai, in the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai, by keeping the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability. Okay. All right, and then having faith. That's the secret formula, man. Math equation. That's the Yahweh Shem Shai equation, man. All right, keep the laws to the best of your ability. All right, and then have faith in Yahweh Shai. Okay, that's how you show your faith. All right, by your works, and with your works, you show your faith. All right. This is Isaiah 28:11. It says, "For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people." And that's what we're doing, man. With stammering lips, all right, and another tongue. We're preaching. We're giving you the truth, all right. We're gonna slip up on some words. We're gonna say something different. We may raise our voice when we shouldn't have, We may cuss here and there when we shouldn't have. But listen to what we're actually saying to you, man. We're bringing you the absolute 100% truth and spirit of Yahweh Shemi Shai. Okay? Here's a definition for stammering, man. It says, stammering, all right? The action or fact of speaking with a stammer, all right? It says speaking slow, all right? Utter with a stammer, okay? There's some synonyms, man. It says speak with sudden, involuntary pauses and tendencies to repeat the initial letters of words. All right? So that's what we do sometimes, man. Okay? We'll use a different word, but we meant to use this word because, hey, the Lord doesn't want us to study every single thing that has to do with everything. He wants us to study this truth, the Bible, man. Yeah, you'll get a brother who's better with the English language, than the next. But hey, that's just one of the brother's talents, Doesn't mean he's better. He's more of a man of the Lord because he knows English. But no, man, That's why we speak in tongues, man. Stammering lips. It says speak with sudden involuntary pauses. Sometimes we have to think. Our brain shuts down for a little bit. Brain farts. Because we live in this decrepit chains of darkness, decrepit flesh. All right. We eat unhealthy things. Time to time. This isn't a perfect world, so our minds therefore won't be perfect either. We're gonna slip up. We're gonna have to pause and think and be like, Slakia, I meant to say this, or Slakia, I forgot what I was gonna say, but stammering lips, and I do that time to time. The next brother will too, man. All right, stutter. All right, these are the synonyms. Stutter. All right, speak haltily, hesitate, falter, pause, halt, mumble. All right, fumble for words, stumble over one's words, and that's what we do, man. We don't do it on purpose, but hey, the Lord has it like that to, hey, that's just one of the stumbling blocks for you Christians and you people, all right, that don't believe in Yahweh Shemi Shai. The Lord will put that in front of you people from not coming unto Him and believing in Yahweh Shemi Shai, because the Lord didn't believe you. The Lord didn't choose you, all right, because the Lord He hasn't chosen everybody to receive this truth. So some Jakes, some Israelites, some people will, have a problem with the man that stutters and has stammering lips. Hey, that's what they get, man. All right. Exodus 4:10 says, and Moses said unto the Lord, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech and of slow of tongue. All right, I'm gonna get the definition of eloquent, and this is what Moses said to the Lord, man, before the Lord commanded him to go and speak to our people. All right, Moses was like, me, Lord, me, Yahweh Shemi Shai, to go speak to our people. Our people are, judgmental as hell, man. And he wasn't the best speaker. Probably didn't raise his voice as loud as he thought he did or was. Hey, the Lord wanted it like that, man. Okay, the Lord wants us to be the way we are, man. Okay, because He's using us, all right, the lowly of the world, man. We're the poor. When the scriptures talk about the poor, it's talking about us as men of Yahweh Shemi Shai. All right, we don't have the riches of this world. We don't have the looks of this world. We're not 6'6" with the six-pack abs, with six figures, with a nice car, nice hairline. We don't got the things of this world, but hey, we got Yahweh Shemi Shai. We may not have the speech and the wits of the English language, but we have Yahweh Shemi Shai though. All right, so this is the definition of eloquent: persuasive, expressive, articulate, fluent, strong, forceful, powerful, potent, well-spoken. All right, we're not the most well-spoken men. All right, but we'll give you the 100% pure truth of Yahweh Shemi Shai, of the Bible. All right. That's what matters, man. All right. Oh, you're using cuss words. That's it. I'm done. All right. Bye. If you're gonna let that stop you from getting right with the Lord ain't dealing with you, man. He never did. So bye, man. You just marked yourself for damnation, for destruction, nuclear missiles, man. All right. You're weak. All right. If you're gonna let cuss words or somebody raising their voice at you or being rough with you, a little bit when it comes to words and telling you to get right with the Lord, if you're gonna let that stop you from your salvation, then you don't deserve salvation, man. All right. You're weak. The Lord ain't dealing with effeminate men. The scriptures say effeminate men shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven, man. All right. And that's a woman, a female spirit upon you, man. Okay. I understand if a woman gets mad for cuss words and whatnot, but you Israelite men, you Jakes, y'all be more womanish than our own women, getting offended, getting your drawers in a bunch. I'm gonna say your panties in a bunch, because you're spiritually not wearing drawers, you're wearing panties. If you get offended over cuss words time to time, man, listen to how something's being said. Listen to what's actually being said and not how it's being said, man. All right. 1 John, 2 Corinthians 5:11 says, knowing therefore the terror of the Lord, all right, we persuade men, but we are made manifest unto Yahweh, and I trust also are made manifest in your consciousness, okay, your consciousness, man, okay, and that's how the Lord has made us, man. That's the point, that we, all right, get the spirit and the knowledge of Yahweh Shemi Shai, all right, okay, and we have to we trust in them, man. All right, we have to trust in the Lord that that what we're preaching, that this truth gets to you, and when we preach His word, man. All right, because you got to realize, man. Hey, you're gonna slip up. You're gonna say some words. You're gonna say something. All right. And mean something, but you use the wrong words. You use the wrong word. Okay. Okay. But you're preaching the truth, though. But your point had got across to the brother, man. Okay. For instance, I said Bollywood. I meant to say Nollywood. But I explained myself. I said Nigerian Hollywood. So look it up. Look up what Nigerian Hollywood is, man. It's Nollywood. I said Bollywood because I'm not. Hey, I heard it from brothers before. They said Nollywood, but hey, there's Hollywood, Bollywood. There's probably Tollywood or Zollywood. But you know what I meant, though. All right. I'm going to read that last part again. It says, and I trust also are made manifest in your consciousness. Okay? And the Lord's going to do that. All right? Don't worry so much that, hey, you use the wrong word. Okay? I'm speaking to myself first and foremost, because, the Lord's going to get the point across, His truth, what you really mean unto the brother. All right? All right? The Lord has you slip up on words to weed out, all right, to filter out those wicked Israelites, those tares, the wheat from the tares, all right. He's gonna weed out those that the Lord doesn't want. If you got a problem with what a brother, accidentally said, he didn't mean to say that, but he meant to say this. If you're not gonna listen to a brother because of that, hey, bye. And that's what the Lord's saying. He's saying bye. And I'm saying it too, because I'm a man after the Lord's heart, just as David is. I'm not saying I'm David, but we're in that same mindset. Every brother in this truth, we're in that same mindset. We're after the Lord's heart. A man after the Lord's heart, man. All right. Hebrews 6 and 9 says, but beloved, we are persuaded better things of you and things that accompany salvation, though we thus speak. All right, that's what we're speaking, man. All right, we're not like Nate and these other Hebrew Israelites who are focused on, how it's being said, making it pretty, doing these videos with these crazy edits, making everything flashy and nice, especially when it comes to our speech. It's about the truth. It's about the point. Get to the point, man. And the point is salvation, man. That which pertaineth to salvation accompanies salvation, though we thus speak. That's what we're speaking about, man. We're not saying things to tickle the ears and make your ears feel good, okay? To attract people, attract women, attract men, attract money. No, we're here to attract the elect, and that's it. If you're not the elect, get out of here, man. And that's why the Lord has us say words that we don't mean to use. It's not like we didn't mean to say that. It's not like we meant to slip up, Hey, the Lord just has it like that, man. That's how this is part of the Lord's movie. The Lord has used the foolish things, all right, the base things to confound the wise, all right? And according to you, wicked-ass people of this world, we're base. We're the poor. We're the lowly. We're the foolish. The scriptures say we're fools for Hamashiach's sake.